But President Trump's gift to America, man, oh man, is an economy hitting at all cylinders, full steam ahead at the very end of this year. The third quarter GDP number came in yesterday, and it was phenomenal. The expectation was 3.2%. The actual number came in at 4.3%. That's the highest it's been in 2 years. And this is driven by consumer spending and exports. Inflation is at 2.7%, and gas prices are at a current 4-year low of $2.85. The president is so happy about this, and he posted on True Social yesterday, the Trump economic golden age is full steam ahead.
So a couple of things. Do you remember when the first tariffs first came out in April, and the economic numbers came out and they were strong, and everyone said, well, that's the reason, because everyone wanted to get ahead of the tariffs. They went and bought everything right away before the tariffs kicked in. Well, now what are you saying? They're all out there. Some have resulted in trade deals. I assume that India is going to be soon, and the USMCA revision is going to happen, I imagine, early in this year. I think it would really work to his benefit. Now people are looking at this and saying manufacturing is coming back a lot. Jobs are holding steady, but the country is growing, and the thing that's happening, it's happening in the private sector.
So that 4.3% is absolutely defying the widespread, and they were widespread economic warnings of an either downturn or even a recession. But yet you see that 4.3% is not only blowing away those expectations, but we are blowing away other countries around the world who are seeing literally anemic growth, some in many cases lower than 1%, and yet here is, with the deregulation and tax cuts continuing to defy it, and you're seeing a booming economy. The Wall Street Journal making note of it, saying that here we go. This was James Freeman writing, the Trump rebound, the 2025 growth revival, may be the most underreported story of the year. Why is that underreported? Because it just blows away many of the economists that were basically knocking it down. Here was a little bit, I want to play this with Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick talking about us versus other developed countries. Listen.
So just think, the whole world out there in the third quarter, the United Kingdom grew 0.1, the European Union grew 0.4, and Japan fell 0.6%, fell 0.6%. Donald Trump's economy grew, the United States of America, the biggest economy in the world, 4.3%. What that means is that Americans overall, all of us, are going to earn 4.3% more money. We're making a raise. It's a simple way to do it. We've got more jobs, lower energy costs, and lower interest rates coming. This is the golden age coming. 4.3% this quarter means Americans on average are making more money in their pocketbooks. That makes for a great Christmas.
Right, but we are looking at polls that say that people do not think the economy is as good as the numbers indicate it is.
Yeah. Consumer sentiment is an issue.
And I think a lot of it has to do, because we're such a polarized society, people are really reluctant to say that Donald Trump's economy is going well. And I think 50% is the new 90. So if you have 50+%, I think that's where the president's getting to. I think he's around, they say 57% disapprove of the economy. That means 43% approve.
Right, but you listen to the White House's economic advisor, Kevin Hassett. He says, while these numbers are fantastic at the end of 2025, it's 2026, next year, is when you're really going to see this increase. And in fact, here, if we can walk over here, Brian, let's take a look. The White House Council of Economic Advisors decided to take and compare conservative states to liberal states. How they define that? The conservative states are the states that President Trump won in the 2024 election, and the ones that Harris won are the liberal ones in 2024. And you see literally 2.5% all items versus 3%. And then housing, food, beverage, energy, transportation. But you know, Brian, the biggest increase in inflation we saw in conservative versus liberal is the energy sector. 3.5% in conservative states. Look over there, 5.2% in energy, and gas prices now under $3 on the average across the nation is being felt by Americans.
Right. I would think a couple of things. The taxes, if you look at what's happening in California on the national average, if you look at what's happening in places like Maryland on the national average, they put all these taxes in to de-incentivize people using oil and gas. But that ship has sailed already. So if you look at the states, these are the states that President Trump won. The blue states are the one that Kamala Harris won and Joe Biden did slightly better. This is what's happening. A lot of the state policies are affecting the federal outlook. So I think it's important for you to say, hey, you know, my gas isn't high, my gas is still high, or these taxes remain high. Look to see if these are state taxes. Look to see what's happening to your city and your county, because I think it's going to matter. What I hope is not happening is that governors are making sure the economy doesn't do well in the hope of doing well in the midterm elections. But there's other people that just can't get out of their own way, like Gavin Newsom. He's down to about 7 refineries. He used to have 50. So of course it's going to be more for oil and gas. When you don't have oil and gas coming in, you got to go to Iraq and bring it in. Of course it's going to be more expensive. So a lot of their policies have a lot to do with how expensive things are. But it's up to President Trump, and I think one of the big things they're going to have is the tax returns. When people start getting more in their tax returns, that's almost like writing people a check, a stimulus
No
check.
tax on tips, no tax on overtime. That's going to take place next year. But right now, the president has a whole lot to smile about right now. I mean, and a lot of it does, you're right, Brian, have to do with gas prices. At the beginning of this year, gas was about $80 per barrel. Now it's down to the mid-50s. That impacts absolutely everything. And overall, I mean, the president was deeply underestimated when it comes to his tariff and economic policies. But it's pro-growth. It's pro-America. You know, when you talk about deregulation, cutting taxes, bringing jobs back to this country, and foreign investments into the United States. And now we're in this AI boom, which was indicated in the GDP number. We're just at the starting point right now. And the way that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent puts it, he says that we're setting the table in 2025 and the banquet happens in 2026. And when that banquet happens, we'll see what the consumer sentiment is.
What they got to do is another reconciliation bill, and it's got to be focused on housing. I don't know what they're going to do to help people with their first down payment, or in order to build more housing, to bring the collective price down. But that's got to be the focus. And one of the big things would be if the Fed, in fact, with the new chair, decides to lower the rates. Because we're so close now where people got 3.5% mortgage. Now they're looking at 5.6% mortgage. They go, well, you know, maybe it's time to get that house. Maybe it's time to take out an equity loan in order to build that extra room. But not quite yet.
It's a great point. I'll tell you one part that's underreported also in the economic boom that we're starting to see is the fact that the border was closed, that we leaned into trying to deal with the illegal immigration issue, which in states like California has been an absolute economic drain, free health care in states like that. And you saw now that continues. The president continues to deliver on cracking down on the border and removing violent criminal illegal aliens. And you saw the Supreme Court yesterday ruled against the Trump administration to deploy the National Guard in Illinois and places like Chicago. Yesterday, though, I was able to speak with Governor Jeff Landry of Louisiana that said, by the way, the National Guard is welcome and they'll soon be arriving in New Orleans. Listen here.
I want to thank President Trump. He is fulfilling his commitment. Him and Secretary of War Hegseth are sending the National Guard back into Louisiana, into New Orleans. They will be there for New Year's Eve, and they're going to be there for a deployment through February, which we desperately need. Look, we know how to make cities safe, and the National Guard complements cities that are having high crime problems. Look at what the president's done in Washington, D.C. When he wanted to send the National Guard into Washington, D.C., Louisiana was one of the first to raise his hand and say, our troops will go there and help you. And the city is so much better. They're going to be here in New Orleans.
And remember, the attack took place right in the French Quarter on New Year's Eve.
The terror attack, it killed 14 people.
You'd have to tell them that there's danger and the National Guard can play a role.
That's right.
Yeah, in places like D.C., where I live, I don't know anyone that's not happy that we've had crime come down significantly. But really, when you tie it to that economic note we're talking about, the drains here in New York City, it absolutely bankrupted this city and so many other places. And so as this continues, I think that's a part of the economic message.
Yeah, but the thing is, the Supreme Court yesterday says that the National Guard can't help ICE. They have that made their case strong enough. So Governor Pritzker gets his wish. So now our ICE agents, our FBI agents, our Border Patrol, trying to clean up his streets, which he won't do, and that terrible mayor who can't balance his own checkbook, let alone the city, will let these illegal immigrants run rampant, and ICE is going to be and ICE is going to have a really difficult time.
Yeah. And he's taking
Same
a
in
victory lap
California.
over it for now, but that was just an initial ruling and things could change. But no National Guard troops in Chicago. There will be National Guard troops in New Orleans.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Kane podcast for full episodes right now.